All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Did a Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today, we are going to finish up talking about the new sidekick system introduced in Tasha's Cookie Cauldron of Everything. This time, focusing on the warrior. So, quick refresher on the sidekick system. Basically, sidekick system is a way for either a DM to add a kind of sidekick or an NPC to a party. Maybe because they befriended an NPC or they found, a pet that they wanted to join them. This is just a system that makes it really simple and easy to create these NPC kind of characters that are much more simplistic than a full-blown player character, but can still feel useful in combat and outside of combat and things like that, to be a little bit more fully developed than just your standard NPC. The way that you build one is you take a monster stat block from anywhere you want that is challenge rating 1/2 or lower, and then you give them classes of either the expert, the spellcaster, or the warrior, and depending on which flavor of sidekick you choose will change how the sidekick plays. One of the important things to remember about the sidekicks system is they're designed to be sidekicks. They're not designed to be full-blown adventurers, and so if you try to build a sidekick character and play it and choose abilities and things like that like you would for a full-blown player character, you're just going to feel very, very limited and frustrated because they're not designed to do everything. However, if you build them with the idea that they're meant to set up the rest of the party to do awesome things, and if you play them that way, you can have a lot of fun with them, to the point where even non-DMs, like if a player wanted to play a sidekick character, especially for veteran players that have played a lot of different characters, playing a sidekick can be a lot of fun because it is a very different approach to playing D&D, because you are not the main character in the story like you would be if you were the player character, or one of the main characters. You have to kind of approach how you play your character differently. So I think they're really interesting. We've already gone through the expert and the spellcaster. Let's dive into the warrior. If you were wondering what the warrior kind of exemplifies as, or mimics as far as the classes are concerned, like the expert was basically your rogue bard type. The spellcaster is exactly what it sounds like. It's a spellcaster, and it can mimic a DPS kind of spellcaster or a healer kind of spellcaster. The warrior is a fighter. That's exactly what it is. It has significantly less customization options, and adds in some stuff to make it a little bit unique. But it's what it is. It's designed to be a character whose primary way to interact in combat is me hit things with something heavy or sharp. As far as the different sidekick classes go, the warrior is probably the most simplistic. They don't get a new ability after level 11. So from 12, from levels 12 to 20, the only thing they get is a few of their abilities that they got at lower levels get better or get more uses. That's it. So they are very simplistic characters. However, that doesn't mean they're boring or anything. And again, if you focus on them as a character that's designed to set up the rest of the party to do cool things, you can have a lot of fun with them. So let's jump into specifics. First things I get at first level is bonus proficiencies. This is the same as the other two ones. This is actually almost identical to the spellcaster. You get to gain proficiency in a saving throw of your choice. This time it's strength, dex, or constitution. So the physical ones instead of the mental ones for the spellcaster. And then you gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice from the following lists: acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, and survival. All of which make sense for a very physical creature. They also gain proficiency with all armor. And if it's a humanoid or it has simple or martial weapons in its stat block, it gains proficiency with shields and all simple and martial weapons. So the variety of weapons and armor a sidekick can use are a warrior, can use, are significantly larger than either the spellcaster or the expert. And that's one of the things you want to kind of lean into with this particular sidekick is just kind of how many different things it can do, specifically to kind of be either a damage sponge or, just be someone that helps out the rest of the party by either making it harder to hit the rest of the party or encourages enemies to hit them in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, bonus proficiency is very, very simple. Second thing you get at first level is martial roll. This is what's going to help define your warrior. However, neither one of them is going to be a massive change, to be blunt. It's just going to be a slight redirection of how you fill the role that you want to fulfill. You can choose either the attacker or the defender. The attacker gains a +2 bonus to all attack rolls. Effectively means they're going to hit a lot more often than other classes. With the attacker, giving them either magic items or even maybe moving into feats and things like that allow them to do special things when they hit something is going to be a really, really effective way of getting the most out of this particular class or that role. The defender, on the other hand, it can use its reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll of a creature within 5 feet of it whose target isn't the sidekick, provided the sidekick can see the attacker. So this gives them a use for their reaction, which I've mentioned many, many times before. Action economy is massively important in 5th edition. It is one of the key defining features as far as what's going to be a balanced combat. Whichever side has more actions is going to have an advantage. Being able to use your reaction a lot is really useful. So for the defender, the main benefit of the defender is the fact that as long as it's near one of its allies, there is a rather large incentive to attack the defender over trying to attack their ally. Because if they attack the ally, the defender can impose disadvantage and make it significantly more likely that they're wasting that action. So the defender is going to be a little bit more focused on convincing enemies to hit it, while as the attacker is going to be a little bit more focused on using its attacks to disrupt combat in some way, shape, or form. And we'll talk about some ways to do that as we go through this. So yeah, pretty simple, really, really basic thing. Again, for a brand new player who has never played D&D before, playing a warrior sidekick can be really, really nice, especially if you take the attacker role, because then it is a very, very simple class. You go forward, you make attack rolls, your rolls are significantly more likely to hit, especially at first level. A +2 bonus to your attack rolls is huge. So yeah, this is a great kind of starter class versus someone who's never played an RPG before. Going to second level, you get what's called Second Wind. This is taken directly from the Warriors playbook, or the Fighter's playbook. Effectively, you can use a bonus action in your turn to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus the level in the Warrior class. And once it's used, you have to finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. When you get to 20, you can use it twice between short or long rests. This, again, feeds into that idea of them being able to take more damage and more hits into the things like that. If you combine Second Wind with the fact that they can wear any kind of armor, so you could put them in full plate with a shield and have Second Wind, they turn into a really, really nice meat sponge. So yeah, always nice. At the third level, you get improved critical. This is actually taken from the champion fighter, which is a subclass of a fighter. And basically, the sidekicks attack rolls score critical hits on a roll of a 19 or 20 on the d20. So instead of critting every 5% of the time, they now crit 10% of the time. That can be massively useful, especially with the attacker roll. You're going to be critting a heck of a lot more. Even with the defender roll, being able to crit is going to make you that much more a valuable target to the enemy, because you're just doing big burst damage. So again, looking at all of these abilities through the lens of how can I help the party the most, as opposed to what cool things can I do, is really going to give you the most bang for your buck for this. Fourth level, you get your ability score improvements. Same as everything else. The warrior is going to be kind of a single attribute dependent class. So either boost up your strength, which again, just how they're kind of built. The warrior is going to get a little bit more benefit out of strength than it is dexterity, simply because with higher strength, you can wear heavier armor without any penalties. And because it is kind of designed to, take a lot of blows, you want the highest armor class possible. And unless you have a 20 dex and magic armor, which you're generally not going to be giving a ton of that to a sidekick compared to a main character. I would venture, if you want to play a dex-based sidekick, go with the expert instead of the warrior. If you want to play a strength-based sidekick, the warrior's a little better. However, just like a fighter, the warrior gets more feats than regular. They get 4th, 8th, 12th, 14th, 16th, and 19th. So they get 6 feats, they get 6 ability score improvements instead of 5. And as much as I have said with the other ones, try and lay off adding feats to them, because these are designed to be very, very simple. I would almost say with the warrior, it might be more beneficial to add just at least 1 feat. Like Shield Master's really, really useful. Charger can be really, really useful. Things like that add a little bit. Not so much that just give you extra damage, because again, you're never going to be able to keep up with even just a regular fighter or a barbarian or something like that. However, Shield Master allows you to knock targets prone when you're wielding a shield, or push them when you're wielding a shield. That's really useful. Charger allows you to move further and make an attack, or push someone down after a charge, or push them around. Things like that are really going to be helpful. Yeah. So yeah, that's ability score improvements. We know how they will work. Sixth level, they get extra attack. And this one is actually going to kind of mimic the fighter version with some caveats. The sidekick can attack twice instead of once when it takes the attack action. And the number of attacks increases to 3 when the sidekick reaches 15th level. So unlike the fighter, which can get a maximum of 4 attacks when you get to level to 20, the sidekick warrior only gets a maximum of 3, and they get those at 15, which is a little bit later than your fighters, but still very useful. However, because you're taking a monster stat block, there is a chance that the stat block might already have the multi-attack action. And that's addressed here. If the sidekick has the multi-attack action, it can use extra attack or multi-attack on its turn, not both. Which means if you do pick a stat block with multi-attack at low levels, basically before level 6, you're probably going to want to use multi-attack versus the attack action. Once you get to 6th, it'll kind of be a choice between, well, what does the multi-attack let me do? Because some multi-attacks let you do a powerful attack and then a lesser attack as part of the multi-attack. And sometimes they just let you attack twice. So that'll be based on your stat block. And then from 15th level or higher, unless your multi-attack is crazy, which for a challenge rating 1/2 or a little lower, it's not going to be, you're probably going to be using the attack action more. And remember, all your attack rolls, if you were the attacker, have that +2 added to it. So that's always nice. At 7th level, you get Battle Readiness, which is really simple. You have advantage on initiative rolls. Advantage on initiative rolls is crazy useful. One of my favorite magic items in the entire game is a Weapon of Warning, because it gives you 2 things when you're attuned to it. You have advantage on initiative rolls, and you can't be surprised. The can't be surprised, your mileage may vary depending on the campaign that your GM is running. However, advantage on initiative rolls is always useful. Again, especially for this character that's designed to be kind of the center of attention for the bad guys. They're designed to take hits. Being able to run in and start smacking dudes first to get their attention is very, very useful. And if you do take one of those feats that allow you to move enemies or knock enemies prone, things like that, being able to act before the enemy can mean the difference between the enemy being able to get off a really, really powerful attack or having to waste part of their action or movement getting up and dealing with the fact that they've been knocked prone or moved away from where they wanted to be. So very, 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 very useful. At 10th level, you get another very simple thing. It's called Improved Defense, and their armor class increases by 1. Very simple, very easy to understand, and again, just makes you that much harder to hit, which means the enemy will waste that many more attacks against you clinging off of your armor class. And if you are wearing full plate and have a shield, that would mean your armor class at 10th level is 21, which is massive and very, very difficult to hit. So very, very nice. And then 11th level, this is the final new ability that they get, is called Indomitable. The sidekick can re-roll a saving throw that it fails, but it must use the new roll. When you use this feature, it can't use the feature again until it finishes a long rest, and it can use the feature twice between long rests starting at 18th level. This is just another thing that adds to the warrior's ability to just take a lot of punishment. You know, if they fail a saving throw against a spell or something like that, they get to re-roll it. Now, it's only once per long rest or twice once you get to 18, but that's still very, very useful. And if you use it in a clutch situation, you're going to be able to half damage or maybe using, I believe it's Shield Master, allows you to impose your shield and take even less damage. Like, there's a lot of ways to make your warrior as tanky as physically possible. And again, that is what is going to give you the most bang for your buck for the warrior. Don't look at it as a full class. Look at it as, how can I make the rest of the party look good? And like I said, giving them things like, I mentioned the charger feat is very, very useful. You can either get extra damage to an attack as long as you move 10 feet in a straight line using the dash action, or you can push the target 10 feet away, so that can be useful. Any of the new damage type feats that we've talked about, especially since if you take the attacker, you get that bonus to attack rolls. Something like taking the Crusher feat can be massively useful, because once per turn, you can move a target 5 feet to an unoccupied space. So every turn you can move as part of your action. And if I have to find, where are you, Shield Master? And if you have Shield Master, so you're wielding like a maul or a mace or a hammer and a shield, you can use Crusher to move them 5 feet just within it to attack. And then with Shield Master, if you take the attack action on your turn, you can use a bonus action to try and shove the creature within 5 feet with your shield. So you can move every turn an enemy 10 feet. Which is really, really useful. Being able to control the battlefield can be crazy good. We talked about Piercer in the feats video, and the fact that you get extra damage dice. If you combine that with the expanded criticals, that can be really, really useful. And other things like Mage Slayer is another one that a lot of players won't take Mage Slayer because it's very situational. But again, if you are playing the sidekick where your entire goal is to help the party as much as you can, Mage Slayer can be incredibly effective as a way of dealing with enemy spellcasters and things like that. Because Mage Slayer, just as a reminder, when a creature within 5 feet of you casts a spell, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against the creature. When you damage a creature that's concentrating on a spell, the creature has disadvantage on saving throws it makes to maintain the concentration, and you have advantage on saving throws against spells cast by creatures within 5 feet of you. So a Mage Slayer warrior sidekick can be super, super useful anytime you're dealing with enemy spellcasters, because again, they're built to take a fair amount of damage, so they can literally just wade through enemies. You might even give them the mobile feat, so they can just make a couple slices of enemies as they walk through, so they don't take the opportunity attacks, and then go right up to the enemy spellcaster and do their stuff. They can break concentration. They can make weapon attacks whenever they cast spells. Like, it's just a really, really useful way to play a character. So those are just a couple of the feats that you can choose to kind of improve the warrior. Final thoughts. Again, I think the warrior, if you are using a sidekick character as a simple way to introduce a new player to D&D, the warrior is by far the easiest. It will let them be able to still do cool things, especially at lower levels when player characters and sidekicks are not going to have a vast power difference. Your warrior can be a really, really fun, simple way to introduce someone to playing D&D without having to bog them down in all of the crazy, like they don't have to roll their ability scores or anything. They just pick a monster stat block that just seems cool. They don't have to worry about complex stuff as they level up. They just have a very simple, easy to play character. So in that aspect, I think it's amazing. On the other side, if you are adding a warrior to a party of players because they befriended an NPC, or maybe a veteran player just wants to try something a little different, or you have someone that's going to sit in for a session and may not be able to return, the warrior can be a really, really fun way to play a very, very different kind of, weapon-based character, especially if you use one of the ability score improvements to give them a feat to kind of change things. Like I said, my personal favorites are things like the Crusher feat or the Shield Master feat, simply because it will give a lot of versatility and control aspects to the warrior without making it an extremely complicated character to play. Anyway, that is going to be all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. And also, go ahead and hit the bell icon and turn notifications on so that you never miss any of my episodes. Every so often they come out at weird times because my mind doesn't like me a whole lot. In the comments below, we've talked about all three of these sidekicks. I cannot talk today. Which one do you like the most? Which one do you think would be the most fun to either have in a party with you or for you personally to play yourself? Again, let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time, all right? Bye-bye.